Hello there, thank you for staying with us and welcome to another edition of The Beam on Channels Television. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, though the federal government says its decision to ask schools to resume today, January the 18th, 2021, was carried out after due consultations, that message has been received with both applause and criticism. The federal government says it reached the decision after a meeting with stakeholders, including governors, commissioners of education, proprietors, and heads of institutions, as well as staff unions with students as well. Now, it was agreed that parents and respective institutions will ensure full compliance with COVID-19 protocols, and that will be our focus on the program today. But let's first see what was the trending social media hashtags in the past week.
January 15 every year is commemorated as Armed Forces Remembrance Day to mark the end of the country's 30-month civil war, which ended on January 15, 1970, and also to celebrate soldiers who have fallen in the battle against insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping. Pigeons released as a tradition in commemoration of the day by President Muhammadu Buhari refused to fly, causing mixed reactions on social media. Reactions on social media trailed the death of a 22-year-old computer systems engineer, David Ntekim Rex, by armed robbers in the Jibowu area of Lagos State. The deceased was said to have been gunned down around 8 p.m. on Friday. A relative of his alleged that the police failed to help him when he was shot, noting that the police continued to cause unnecessary delays as life slowly left Ntekim Rex. The deceased, who was described as a tech guru by friends, was tipped to be a tech wonder in the coming years before he met his untimely death.
Well, there you go. Those were the trends in the past week. And now let's face the discussion of the day, which one of the questions that we will be asking is, should the schools have been reopened? And of course, you can also be a part of the conversation, and or you can also answer that question from wherever you're watching around the world. Just tweet at us at Channels TV, at ChannelsBeam, at Victor_MBIDI. You can use the hashtag ChannelsBeam as well as the hashtag Schools Resumption. But joining us in the studio to look at today's topic, we have with us Vicky Omoni. She is the director, Doyens Nursery and Primary School, and is a passionate educator and a certified family practitioner. She joins us right here in our Lagos studio. It's a pleasure to have you in the program today, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We also have joining us from our Abuja studio, Jeremiah Oseni. He is the founder of the Begotten Educational Foundation, which aims to improve the standard of education in Nigeria by promoting literacy and advocating for equality in education for children in low-income communities across the country. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Mr. Jeremiah, it's a pleasure as well to join you, or to have you join us right here on the program.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. We also have joining us Hamzat Lawal. He is a global Malala Fund education champion working to accelerate girls' education in Northeast Nigeria, and also the CEO of Connected Development. Hamzat joins us via Zoom from Abuja. It's a pleasure to have you today on the program, Hamzat.
Thank you, Victor, for having me.
Indeed. Well, ma'am, I'm sure these are gentlemen, and of course, like we always say, so kickstart this conversation for us. Do you think we should have reopened schools, looking at the facts or looking at the situation that we are in right now in the country?
Okay, that's a very good question at this time. And there are diverse opinions, around whether we should open school or whether schools should remain closed. But I think the question that we should be asking really is, should learning be stopped? Should learning be stopped, or should we continue learning? Okay, so whether school is open physically or not, The question should be, should we stop learning? All right. So for me, I would want to answer that question from that angle.
From that perspective.
From that perspective, should children stop learning because there is COVID? The answer is no. The answer is no. Okay, so how we choose to learn is now the question. In the country, there are a lot of parents are yet to come to terms with the reality that we are facing. A lot of people are still living in denial that there is no COVID. Some of them are wishing it away and really desire to have the children back in school physically. Okay, so the bottom line is that we realize that we are in a situation and that we work together as a team, parents and schools and governments now, so that we can look at the best way forward, for our children. If it's going to be online, let it be a collective decision, and let the government rise up to help the grassroots and provide support where support is needed so that these children can all be learning uniformly. It's not that some people are in school, some children are in school, some are not in school. So the thing is,
it should be a uniform.
It should be yes, it should be uniform. No child should be left without learning. No child should be left behind. Great. So yes, school should be opened now, either physically or online. Learning must continue.
Well, it's good that you put a caveat there that, if it's online, there needs to be some form of, support from every angle to ensure that no one is left behind. But let's quickly go to our Abuja studio, where we have Jeremiah standing by. Jeremiah, what is your perspective on this?
I think, yes, of course, it is high time we open our schools for our children to go in and begin to learn. As we already know, she talked about the online schooling and, of course, the normal traditional 4 walls of the classroom schooling. And as the case is in Nigeria, over 80, if not 85% of Nigerian, the children don't have access to technology, enabling technologies that can help them, learn online. So having stayed at home for close to a year now, I feel like it is time for us to resume schools, for the government to tell the children to go back to school, and for educators to open the 4 walls of the classroom, to open the doors of the 4 walls once again for everybody to come in to learn. But however, necessary measures and procedures need to be in place for these children to be safe while they are in the school premises. For instance, talking about the non-pharmaceutical measures that children need to adhere to be safe in school still during the pandemic. Just in less than 2 weeks ago now, we've been talking about the second wave and all of that in Nigeria, talking about some other variants of the virus. So what are the measures? What are the measures from the NCDC? What are the measures from the Ministry of Education? What are the measures from even the local schools? What are they going to put in place to see that these children are safe from the second, even from the current one? Because I don't believe that the cases are dying down every day. So it just shows that, the pandemic, coronavirus itself, shows some of the loopholes, the lapses that we've been having in the educational sector, and things where we need to sit up on, areas where we need to sit up on. For instance, I just mentioned the technological advancements. In other countries, since the COVID, what they are doing is they stay at home while they are learning through technology. But in Nigeria, the case is not the same. But sadly, 80% of these children who have been at home for close to a year now are those who don't have access to the right technology, to edu technology for them to learn. So I asked myself, why not allow them to go back to school? Because
sorry to butt in, Jeremiah. It's good that you made mention of the second wave, which, as we have seen perhaps maybe in the last week, we've always recorded over 1,000 cases. And for others, that is one of the arguments why schools should not be open. Don't you think that is justified?
Yes, of course. Let's say coronavirus, let's say the pandemic lasts for 10 years. What should happen to Nigerian children? What should happen to our educational sector? It is right time. I believe we have well-thinking, well-meaning individuals in the Ministry of Education. I believe we have people who mean well in the NCDC and, of course, in the Presidential Task Force for COVID-19, who should sit on the table and brainstorm and say, okay, despite the pandemic, despite the challenges we are facing, how can our children go back to school? and, come up with the possible solutions. We can see it happening in other parts of the world. How can we do it? Is it that we don't have the funds? I believe that's not the issue. Is it maybe the political will is not there? Maybe that may not also be the issue, but I just believe people should come together from the respective arms of government, and of course those saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that education happen in Nigeria to provide the best solution. But children should go back to school and learn.
All right, let me just hold you there for a bit and quickly go to Hamzat, who is joining us, of course, via Zoom from Abuja. So, Hamzat, I mean, like you've heard some perspectives since the program started, but one of the things Jeremiah made mention of is the fact that he thinks maybe the political will is there, the money is there as well, to make sure that that technological advancement that seems to be absent at the moment, or, the structure, that technological structure that seems to be absent at the moment can be put in place. But in your own estimation and in your own perspective, what do you think we should be doing at the moment?
Well, thank you, Victor. I'm going to be sharing perspective from a girl child education advocate and also COVID-19 survival. As much as this COVID-19, learning must not stop. We can never ensure that learning stop. So is government informed decision by data to open school? I don't think so, because if you look at the numbers, we're experiencing a spike in the case of COVID-19. But then we should also know that as much as we're facing the global pandemic, we're also facing early child marriage. We're facing sexual harassment and gender-based violence. We're facing insurgency and the safety of these girls or children that would go back to school. So how did government arrive at ensuring that, all these measures are put in place? I think there's an opportunity here where we can ensure that we can accelerate learning. We don't have to open schools to get children to learn. Before now, most of public schools don't even have toilet facilities. They don't have adequate water. And how can you enforce physical distances and ensure that they enforce COVID-19 safety protocol? I survived COVID-19, and when I was surviving COVID-19, I had very severe symptoms. And I took all the necessary measures to remain safe, but I don't know how I contacted the virus. So again, if we're opening schools, we're actually putting our children in harm's way. Why can't we ensure that we invest in digital learning and digital skills? How can we also ensure that we accelerate these learnings virtually? I know that government invested to ensure children get learning from radio. How can we ensure that we provide adequate facility? The fact that, other countries are on lockdown, children are still learning because they've been able to put in place infrastructure. I think in Nigeria, opening of schools is putting these children in harm's way, but not only the children, also the teachers. Mind you, for the school to function, you need both the teachers and the students. And of course, the parents also plays a critical role. And if you look at today, that is the first day of reopening of schools, a lot of parents did not comply to government directive because what is important is the safety of these children in ensuring they learn during the pandemic.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, I think that's where you come back in, like you were saying, as they resume today, we need to ensure not only the safety of the children, but also the safety of, the teachers, proprietors, and everyone around. Like you said, he survived COVID-19 in as much as he kept all of the protocols, but he still doesn't know how. And we've seen many people like that, and he also brought about the issue of security. Now we're looking at, northern Nigeria, where he is, championing the cause of education for young girls, northern Nigeria, security issues. So there are perhaps a myriad of challenges that are facing us right now, in our faces. So we're going to look at some of those. We'll take a quick break first, and of course, when we come back, I will take more discussions on the problems that we have right now facing the education sector in the country. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us our panelists right here in the Lagos studio, Abuja studio, as well as via Skype. So just before we went on the break, we're looking at those challenges that were highlighted by Hamzat, who joins us via Skype again. And of course, we kind of brushed through them during the break. How do you think we can curb or take these challenges, remove it or find a bridge, so that we can have everyone on board?
Okay, so everything rises and falls on leadership. So our leaders need to handle the situation with a whole lot of integrity. And everybody needs to understand that we are in a situation together. And our leaders need to carry along, I say again, the grassroots, the public schools, okay, because the parents in the private school can afford to pay. And for instance, quite a number of private schools collect their school fees and then they are still deploying lessons online, which is fine. But what happens to the public schools? A whole lot of them are left behind. And this is where the opening and not opening of schools come in. I'm a school owner, and it is biting hard on the business. It is affecting everyone, but safety first. I am much more about the safety of the children. Everybody should be safe because we are all exposed.
Indeed.
The teachers, the educators, the proprietors, teachers come and go through public transportation. They come to school. We put all measures in place in our school to ensure that everybody is, all the protocols are kept. Yeah. The face shield, the hand washing, the sanitizers and all. But people have gotten it without even knowing how they got it. So we cannot say we are protected. What the government needs to do is because they are not facing the reality. COVID is not going anytime soon. So even if we decide not to open school now and say they will open it by February, by June, COVID has not given us a date when it's going to leave the earth. So it's to face our challenge and look at how we are going to weather this storm. So the government should rise up and help the public sector, provide the technological devices needed for learning for public schools. If everybody is online and everybody is going at the same pace, parents will be at rest because they will know that that is what is existing at the moment.
Everywhere.
But now there are options. So even if you don't open school, if you refuse to open schools, these same parents get teachers to come into their homes to come and do lessons.
True.
And the border is open. It's porous. People are traveling. They are going to UK, going to US, going and coming. So the exposure is still there. We have to deal with this with integrity and ensure that we are truthful in what we are doing and we are saying. So if you want to shut schools, then go look at what is happening at the borders.
At the other parts.
You understand? Because people still go around.
All right. Let me agree. I mean, you're getting you're bringing all of these problems actually to the fore. Like, funny enough, I didn't look at it from this perspective, but it's good you're bringing it to the fore. But let me quickly also bring Hamzat. He talked about some of those problems, especially in the Northeast, where he's championing the girl-child education. Hamzat, one of the key things he talked about is the issue of insecurity. Now, so how do we put that away? How do we bridge that gap? I mean, so that schools, all those people in that region, pupils in that region can also be a part of the education system as it moves forward.
Well, I think first we need to abide by the theme of SDGs that says leave no one behind. And in dealing with insecurity, I think that as a people, we need to also understand that we all have collective role to play. There are harmful norms that are tied into this insecurity. How our traditional and religious leaders contributing their role to ensure girls go to school and they are safe while in school? Are we also investing in perimeter fencing and the Safe School Initiative? Because I know government have put in place a lot of resources that should go into the Safe School Initiative. But by and large, we need to see more transparent and accountable mechanism in ensuring that we provide safety for girls and for our students in general. But then if you look at data, we had a spike in early child marriage during the pandemic. And this also ties to harmful norms and practices, particularly in northern Nigeria. So again, in providing safety is also ensuring that, we're able to invest in security and safety and learning. And lastly, Victor, if you look at the data we collected from these children during the lockdown, the first lockdown, a lot of girls are more concerned about, are the schools going to be safe? So for them, it's about ensuring safety.
Okay.
And if you look at data, for them, it's about ensuring safety. And when you look at the numbers of hours that girls lost during this lockdown and learning from home, so a lot of girls got more hours to practice, or rather more hours to undertake house chores and less hour for learning. So again, we need to ensure that as a society, we prioritize girls learning and give them more time to learn rather than giving them house chores and allowing boys to learn and play football.
All right, Hamzat, I'd have to say thank you. Hopefully all of these problems that you highlighted would be a thing of the past before that time when, of course, it's the time already, but hopefully in the very nearest future, all of this will be a thing of the past and the girls will be safe when they return to school and even while they're at home. But I have to say thank you for joining us on the program. Hamzat Lawal, a Global Malala Education Fund champion and also the CEO of Connected Development. Thanks again for joining us and sharing your thoughts on the program.
Thank you for having me, Victor.
Indeed. Well, let's quickly move to our Abuja studio and also get the last word from Jeremiah in terms of how we can nip all of the problems that we've perhaps listed as this show was going on. Jeremiah, insecurity, technology, safety at home, all of these are cases that perhaps, are even stalling education, even if it means that we're going to do that at home, rape cases at home, and all of that. How do we get past this quickly?
I think we can get past this together because, like we have already identified, these are no longer just the problem of the teachers or the school or just the government. I think it's a collective effort. All hands needs to be on deck for us to, curb these monsters together, for us to kill these challenges that we are having. Because already, as we know, as a country, we have a big gap, a huge gap in our educational sector. And this will tell in the future, in the nearest future, depending on how we tackle the issues today that are on ground. So I, for one, I also like to say finally that it may not really matter when we actually ask these children to go back to school, whether now or later. But the thing is, the necessary solutions that must be put in place, are they being talked about? Have they been put in place just to see that? Because even if we say, okay, let them go back to school in December or next year, 2022, maybe, I'm not saying, but maybe, what if even, maybe, I'm just saying, let's put the right things in place and God helping us, everybody coming to the table to do their part will come out of these challenges. Thank you.
Well, I can't wait for us to come out of that challenge. Of course, challenges also. But I'd have to say thank you for joining us, of course, also on the program. Jeremiah Hussaini, you are the founder of Begotten Educational Foundation. Again, it's a pleasure to have you on the program and as you shared your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much, Victor.
Again. Indeed. Well, you kind of kept nodding your head. I don't know, I wasn't sure if it was in concurrence or in difference with what they were saying, but just before we go, what were your thoughts while they were making their submissions quickly?
Okay, so my thoughts are that we don't know when COVID is leaving the earth, but we know that we will overcome. While we are waiting to overcome, we need to work together as a team, the government, parents, schools, the community, and no one should see this as a school issue. So the shutting down school, lock them down, open school is really not the solution because you will eventually see open the school and then it's going to be like a cycle. We keep going back and forth. We need to critically look at what do we need to do to keep ourselves safe, to keep our children safe, and for them to still continue to learn. Because you cannot keep children without learning. You can't. An idle hand is devil's workshop. And then when they don't have the opportunity to learn, it affects them psychologically, mentally, emotionally. So we must all commit to making children learn. How we will do that is everybody's responsibility.
Well, I hope, I hope everybody will take that responsibility, but also I have to say thank you to you for joining us, Vicky Amoni, the director, Doyne's Nursery and Primary School right here in Lagos. Thanks once again for joining us and sharing your thoughts. Well, that's the program today. Of course, you can find the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel, on our YouTube account, on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, as well as our Twitter handle. But that's where we'll wrap it up today on the show. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Victor Matthias. Thank you once again.